So we are standing at the crossroads of fire in the center of the Chancellorsville battlefield, right here along Route 3. And it's something that literally tens of thousands of people drive by here every day. They see the cannons, like, oh yeah, there's that. But a lot of times people just think, oh yeah, there's that, and they don't actually take the time to stop. But we're living in the epicenter of the bloodiest ground in the entire history of the Civil War. 4 major battlefields in this area, and here Chancellorsville is kind of the center of all that action. So I encourage folks to stop by and take a look. Once upon a time, there was a large mansion here. It's called Chancellorsville, but really that's a great sales pitch for this little inn in the middle of the woods. We're kind of on the way to Culpeper, to Germanna, off in that direction, off to Orange. If we were to head off to the east, we would head off to Fredericksburg. So this was a great way station for travelers passing through here. In May of 1863, this is also going to be where the Union Army is going to congregate as it marches in to try to trap Confederates in Fredericksburg. They've been here all winter. They're holding the Confederates in position there in Fredericksburg, where they've been occupying since that December battle. And Joe Hooker, commander of the Union Army, consolidates his army here to sneak up behind those Confederates. So as he gets his army here concentrated, he pushes forward eastward, but by that point Confederates understand there's a threat to their rear, and they head back in this direction and catch the Federals completely off guard. You can see where a lot of that action took place just off to the east of where we're standing at the battlefield called the First Day at Chancellorsville Battlefield, preserved by the American Battlefield Trust, Central Virginia Battlefield Trust, and a lot of local interested agencies. But as a result of that fight on May 1st, Joe Hooker's going to come back to this intersection and create a cordon to protect the intersection. And he's going to force Confederates to come at him. He knows he's got more men. He outnumbers the Confederates by more than 2 to 1. He's choosing the ground. He's protecting this intersection, which means he's protecting his routes of transportation, communication, supply, and, if necessary, retreat. So from Hooker's perspective, he's holding all the cards. Of course, Robert E. Lee, commander of the Confederate Army here, he's going to try to look to play the one card Hooker is surrendered, and that's the initiative. And so he'll do a wide flank march with Stonewall Jackson. He'll attack the flank off to the west on the 2nd of May and force the Federals to kind of concentrate more around this intersection. And that tends to be the main story remembered here at Chancellorsville, Stonewall Jackson's flank attack and its overwhelming success. But really, the story of Chancellorsville is on May 3rd, 1863, concentrated around this intersection behind us. Because as Joe Hooker hunkers down, he invites the Confederates to attack him. And for the morning of May 5th, 1 man falls every single second for 5 hours. It's the second bloodiest day of the Civil War. Wow. Yeah, the casualties are staggering. And all that action centers here as Joe Hooker makes his headquarters in this building behind me, watching the action. A cannonball comes in, hits the post he's standing next to. The post hits him. It knocks him senseless, even as the Confederates are putting their squeeze on. So as the Federal Army needs its leadership, they are basically decapitated. Hooker will survive, but he'll be senseless, unable to coordinate command. And so Confederates will finally then start squeezing in, and the Federals will have to fall back behind the camera about a mile to a new consolidated line.
So much happened here, and we don't tell that story. It seems that a lot of people for Chancellorsville stopped the night that Stonewall Jackson was shot.
Yeah, that has been the story that has guided development of this battlefield. Initial preservation here focused on areas where Lee and Jackson were, and the march that Jackson made, and where he has his final meeting with Lee, and those sorts of things. This intersection wasn't actually preserved until 1975, when the Park Service paid just a little over $125,000. There was a big land swap. They get 99 acres, but they give away more than 320. And as a result of all of that, they finally get the 2 acres right here around this intersection. So it went unpreserved for more than 110 years because most of those preservation efforts were focused on where was Jackson, where was Lee.
That's amazing, and that shows the importance of understanding the story and understanding what needs to be preserved.
And ironically, this was the most important intersection in the entire country at the end of April and the beginning of May 1863, as the armies moved through here, as they fought over this area, as this determined control. And what's really ironic is that the Federals lose this battle, but the Federal soldiers don't feel like they were beaten. This is the army that's going to go on and win at Gettysburg. They feel that their leadership let them down, but they feel like they were ready to keep fighting, and it was their leadership that pulled them out of here.
And again, it's this spot, and that shows you just, thankfully, this area wasn't developed in the 60s.
You know, and we do have 4 lanes of Route 3 behind us. There's a lot of hustle and bustle here, but you can still see a lot of what the soldiers saw when they arrived, because there is so much of this that has been preserved. Unfortunately, there is a serious preservation threat right on the edge of this property. We're going to take a look off in the wood line there behind us. We're going to walk in there so we can see where that is and why that threat is so important.